The Cleveland Browns have made some roster moves on Tuesday, one due to Jack Conklin and obviously his injury and finding a replacement as Dawand Jones is now a starter. Plus, I have a statement to share with all of my listeners. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound, LGB, and the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, your 7th season covering the Browns here with you all on Locked On Browns. Appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns their first listen every single day. The everyday crowd keeps getting bigger. I suggest you join in by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Hello, everybody in the Browns, your Cleveland Browns news of the day. Jack Conklin sadly confirmed, obviously, yesterday, the ACL and the MCL. Jack Conklin has been put on season-ending injured reserve. The corresponding move to the 53-man roster, and I'm not sure if this is due to the Jack Conklin injury or this was the plan all along, because we all felt it was really weird the way the Michael Dunn situation worked out, where he was originally released, then signed back to the practice squad. But either way, Dunn is back probably as your swing guard on the 53-man roster. Tommy Togiai, interestingly enough, was cut from the Jaguars practice squad. Tommy Togiai was brought back to the Cleveland Browns practice squad. My guess here is that Schwartz liked him somewhat during the summer and would like to keep that body around, as we saw how important the Browns defensive line play was Sunday against the Bengals. Having a surplus of guys, even if there are overflow guys on the practice squad, is obviously something that the Browns wanted to continue to do. Also signed Ty Nsekhe, pronounced like Mike Jazeki. Ty Nsekhe is brought in as a reserve tackle on the practice squad. This guy has a lengthy litany of playing time, whether it was in semi-professional leagues, finally getting an opportunity in the NFL. Did start 10 games last year for the Los Angeles Rams. He's no baby, though. Okay, let's not just confuse this. He's actually 37 years old. So this guy really put in his time. It's actually a really great story, the amount of time that this guy put in, because most guys find, they go this length. Most guys just, pack it up, find something else to do. But Ty Nsekhe literally put in a bunch of time, a bunch of effort to finally get his opportunity. Big guy. Him and Dawand Jones, you looking for a tag team? These two guys are mammoth. Ty Nsekhe is a big guy. Lorenzo Burns was released from the practice squad. Maybe the Browns went a little heavy on corner with the practice squad with the Denzel Ward concussion. Certainly, perhaps. Now, obviously, we know Denzel well for now. So the Cleveland Browns go ahead and move on, get a little more beef on the interior, on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, onto the practice squad. I have a statement I would like to make. After watching Ja'Marr Chase not once get aggravated by the elf, then losing to the Browns, and getting even more aggravated with Brownie the elf. Folks, I retract my stance on the elf and the midfield logo. If this elf is going to aggravate and annoy and piss off opponents, let Brownie the elf stay at midfield for the entirety of Cleveland Browns football. So that's that. The roster moves, Dunn, obviously this is one we're all excited about. We've seen this play guy, and he's stepped up this guy's played a lot for the Browns. He has stepped in numerous times. Certainly, for Wyatt Teller, stepped in playoff games. Dunn has been a guy that they've always seemed to like. Obviously, Bill Callahan, I'm sure, has his favorites, and I'm sure Dunn is one of them. a path to playing time for Dunn. Not sure, obviously, with, Teller looking as good as he did Sunday. And, of course, Joe Batonio, the Rock at left guard. But nice for Dunn, who, basically looks like he was a good soldier. And, basically did, the team asked him, hey, could you do us a favor and help us out here with the roster minutia? And we will certainly make it worth your effort. And, Dunn back here. We'll see the way the dress list works. Now you still got to play dress a backup center. Last week it was Nick Harris. Luke Whippler did not dress. James Hudson should be a lock now as your swing tackle. So you think maybe Nick Harris, you think maybe Dunn, you think maybe James Hudson. To anybody else, I'm not sure, but that looks the way it is. Dressing 8 is a little dangerous for the Browns, and certainly some thought to be put into that. But any one of those guys are proven and have the ability to go in there and step up and step in when the Cleveland Browns need them. Just the talk here over the last couple days, and I don't want to hear from Bengals fans. I don't want to hear from Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I don't want to hear from anybody. You guys have every right to be excited about what your team did on Sunday. The Cleveland Browns balled out, and even though offensively, hey, it could have been cleaner, could have been tighter, whatever, all well and done. You won this game. You won it handily against a team that won the AFC North 2 years in a row. So I don't want to hear other fan bases. Oh, well, the Browns fans. What do you think everybody else, Bengals fans, thought about you the last 2 years? Pittsburgh Steelers, your most recent playoff win, let's not even discuss it, because the Browns' most recent playoff win was, more recent than yours. So, yes, there's a lot of Lombardis down there in Pittsburgh. I get it. But we're not going to sit here and act like, you were a franchise that is in contention every single season. So I don't want to hear it. The Browns fans deserve to be excited. For years, they've bought in. The last couple of years, especially, believing that all of a sudden now it was going to be different. Certainly after that 2000 COVID season when you won that first playoff game, and then you went to Kansas City and you had a shot. You literally had a shot. So then you flash forward to the next year, and the hit to Baker and everything starts to unravel. And not only does the on-field product unravel, the locker room unravels. The structure of the roster, the structure of the actual team all falls apart. So Browns fans deserve to be as excited as they are right now. And going in, as we switch to Pittsburgh week, which we will do in segment 3, there's reasons to possibly be even more excited for week 2. But there is nothing wrong, Cleveland Browns fans, for being as geeked up as you are. If anybody has been the butt of the joke and had to eat it for as long as you have, you deserve. If you want to pop champagne every Browns W, go for it. You've earned it. You've paid your dues. You're Cleveland Browns fans, and you certainly deserve better. I am Jeff Lloyd. We'll be back segment 2. I appreciate you all for being along for the ride with me. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with LOCKEDON Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're preparing for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins got 8 targets and put up 0 fantasy points in week 1 against the Browns. Tough secondary the Browns have, but he gets a big shot to rebound big time against a much weaker Ravens secondary at home. The Texans had success throwing outside to their wideouts, and Higgins has a history of massive volume versus Baltimore when healthy. Stick with Higgins in what should be a high-scoring affair as he makes quick amends opposite Jamar Chase. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows the championship team is about each player having a perfect fit. The same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. You can use this. You can order the parts. I am telling you guys, if you go to YouTube, some of the simplest part replacements on your car, you guys would be amazed. You probably already have the tools at home. So go ahead, buy the part, get a discount, and guess what? Pay nothing in service because some of this work you can do yourself. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions apply. Jeff Lloyd rolling along here, your latest Locked On Browns. We're going to get to some final thoughts, obviously, from Browns, Bengals. And I think we've all been riding a high for the last couple of days. I know how you have. I see all y'all on social media. You guys are all still jacked up, geeked up about what this team did against the two-time AFC North champion on Sunday. But here's legit expectation. Defensively, yeah, I know they're the Bengals, but the Bengal team wasn't ready. Looking at Joe Burrow, I don't think the leg was ready. Certainly the wet conditions didn't help, of course. Whether or not there was some sort of little hand ding or hand injury, a lot of people talking about maybe Joe Burrow was rubbing his hand or his issues in dealing with a wet ball. And look, Deshaun Watson dealt with it too. We both know the way that went. The passing game just didn't seem in sync. And what seems weird is if the Cincinnati Bengals are okay with understanding that they can get off to a slow start because they can rebound, which is fine. I mean, it's proven 2 years in a row. They've gotten off to a slow start. They've rebounded and still won the AFC North. What did Joe stay out there for that long for then? You know what I'm saying? That's the part that seems a little bit weird to me. You could tell it just wasn't his day with, probably not being 100%. Obviously couldn't handle the wet conditions very well. Again, neither quarterback did. So I'm not pointing out Joe Burrow versus Deshaun Watson. Also, the beating he was taking, he did take, right. And as far as the hand thing, I'm sorry, I meant to go back to this. I'm wondering about the Zadarius Smith hit on the first play of the game. I'm wondering, obviously Zadarius got some sort of arm and ball. Did Zadarius get part of the hand? Did he get part of the thumb? Did he get a finger? Did he get something that, was, maybe caused a little swelling, which made it even more difficult for Joe Burrow to grip that ball? So just something I had, hey, I'm sure there's plenty of guys who are going through that tape, every inch of it. So if you want to have a little fun, why don't you go through a little deeper, see if maybe you can catch Zadarius Smith getting a part of that hand, which maybe did affect Joe Burrow going further. So my question was, why did they let him play as long as they did? Realizing it just wasn't working. Just seems strange from that respect. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are done by any means whatsoever. It's good for the Browns. Obviously, at this point, they're 1-0. The Bengals are 0-1, and the Browns would, for this point, until week 18, the Browns hold the tiebreaker. So, all good for the Browns on that aspect. But it's not going to be this easy. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be winning by 3 touchdowns every week. So as great as the defense played on Sunday, we got to realize that the expectation is this is the NFL, and they're going to play some really good teams who have capabilities and possibilities and abilities to score. Now, getting to the offensive side, and this is probably where it's a little more promising. Defensively, it's going to probably get a little tougher down the road. Offensively, sure, it's going to get tougher. You're going to play some good teams, sure. But there's a lot to talk about. And there was a lot to take away from watching the game, and for me watching it a second time and watching it a third time. The shotgun play to Nick Chubb, where, they did the little basically pirouette with Deshaun Watson trying to get Marquise Goodwin. And Deshaun, I don't know why he maybe took the crow hop. And I know a lot of people, Goodwin still should have caught that ball. Look, Marquise Goodwin is not your catch point type of receiver. It's not his game. It's never been his game. Marquise Goodwin is, I'm going to outrun people. So if you can, please just hit me in stride. And I will get, basically hit long balls for you. So, that with Marquise Goodwin, it's just, I get it, guys. Maybe I think he should have caught it. I get it. Marquise Goodwin is not this acrobatic circus catch type of guy. It's just not his game. It's just not the way he's ever played this game. So, with that, and then just, the overall, cleaning it up, here was a team that obviously still ran a lot of outside zone. Like I said, they were going to against Cincinnati. You still saw DJ Reader with a monster effort because DJ Reader is one of the best defensive tackles in the game, and there's just no way around it. He's just an absolute beast. Some of that was because, as the game got out of hand, a lot of these run calls obviously became obvious. And of course, Cincinnati was selling out against the run, trying to get the ball back to their quarterback as quickly as possible. Jerome Ford, his stat line, probably a little unfair, just the way it broke down, because again, there was no surprising. There was no guessing. They knew they were running the football. You have the lead. It's the fourth quarter. You have a big lead. You're trying to keep the ball out of the other team's hands. You weren't fooling anybody with the play calling, but it was good because Jerome Ford certainly needed the work. And hopefully that can, get Jerome Ford escalated quickly and maybe a little bit more comfortable here. Because there's going to be times where the Browns are going to have to go to a second running back, whether it is Jerome Ford or whether it is, of course, Pierre Strong Jr. So these are all things the Browns are going to have to consider. The passing game certainly could have gotten cleaned up a little bit. There were balls that, either Deshaun, had his issues gripping it, balls that came up short, a couple of balls that looked like his first start last year in Houston after all that time off, maybe overexcited. The problem is, in a situation in week one, it's usually very, very common. Certainly was common for Deshaun Watson when he came back after, the 20-something month layoff. You want to try to make everything back in one throw. And it's usually a mistake to do that because you can't. Just like they tell you, if you're down 7, no, you're not going to hit a 7, you're going to hit a 7-run home run. So don't even bother. Just try to get on base and let's hopefully, try to, get something cooking here. But you saw Deshaun just evolve and had no issue going, using his legs more to his own advantage, to the team's own advantage, and realizing that was something that, certainly the Bengals were having an issue with as far as, the Browns on Sunday was handling the Cleveland Browns and the running game. Of course, over 200 yards, Nick Chubb at 5.9 yards per carry, just a very, very impressive effort from him. I thought the offensive line was pretty stout. Didn't hear, obviously there were some sacks. Obviously there was some pressure put on Watson, but they're a good team, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Browns are going to see as not of a good defensive line being due to a loss here. We'll get to that in segment 3, but you're going to see some good defensive lines in the next couple of weeks. Tennessee Titans, whatever they are, they have a good defensive line. Baltimore Ravens, maybe not as good as we're accustomed to, but pretty good defensive line and certainly some pass rushers. And then your bye week, and then by the San Francisco 49ers. So offensive line just continue to work as they're going to work here with this obviously new piece to the starting 5, which we're going to talk about here in segment 3, as the Browns have to replace Jack Conklin, and a very savvy draft choice that the Cleveland Browns made in late April with a player that they loved the potential of and felt he would be a perfect piece for their offensive line coach to work with in Dawand Jones. This is Jeff Lloyd. Stick around segment 3 as we start to close it out here. Appreciate you all for making Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. We all went through it during the pandemic. Like, okay, I think I'm sick, but I don't have COVID. What do I do? How do I get to the doctor? How do I get medicine? It was crazy. And, for some of this, it's still there. There's simple things, for my children. Sometimes I can't get the Tylenol they need. Just simple, easy stuff is this. Here's a customer review. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 and just in time. I received our package the same day. I got a sinus infection and my doctor was out of town. No appointments for days. Thank goodness it arrived. With storms, shortages, pandemics, reliance on China, and supply chain issues, we need to be prepared now more than ever. Jase Medical is simple. You go online, you fill out a form, and then you get prescription life-saving medications right to your door. The Jase case gives you a peace of mind so that you are not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jase Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. You can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on the projected stats, and you place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Thursday night football, Eagles, Vikings. Man, you want to talk about some players that you could possibly go with there? Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts. I will be excited to put out my Prize Picks lineup for Thursday night football. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. As always, I appreciate you all for making Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd keeps growing. Don't miss out. Get in on the party now by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. As has been, one of the, tougher storylines to talk about from the Browns' big-time victory on Sunday is the loss of Jack Conklin. Now, Jack Conklin, of course, was in his fourth season here with the Browns. First season was an all-pro level. Second season played well, but injuries. Jack Conklin, it's just been a tough run. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's a former two-time all-pro. Second time now dealing with an ACL, also has the MCL this time. It's brutal, brutal stuff as Jack goes on the IR. And it's always difficult because you're just a guy outside looking in. As a guy, basically, he'll have the surgery, gonna be laid up for a while. Then you slowly start to get back to doing some things. But of course, anything football related is a long, long time away for Jack Conklin. But that brings to the point, and this selection made by Andrew Berry early in the fourth round in the 2023 NFL draft. The big man, the big fella out of Ohio State, Dawand Jones. And from what I know and from what I could gather from the Browns were in awe of the athleticism for a guy of his size. And Bill Callahan was a guy that was drawn to it immediately. The Browns did see a little bit of him down the Senior Bowl when they were there. Dawand Jones, unfortunately, left early, which some teams weren't that big of a fan of, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Guys make choices, and Dawand Jones went down there, looked really good. You kind of got to listen to your agent and your representation. They felt it was enough, so they said, hey, if you're, maybe you should pull, make sure you stay healthy. Let's get to the combine, get to the rest of the process here. Then, of course, was the comment about his, love of playing basketball. And look, it's not uncommon that someone 6'8" had aspirations of playing basketball. Certainly not uncommon. But what we have seen from Dawand Jones just in a short time here with the Browns is he is, as much as he is a big dude, is just as much as he is an athletic offensive lineman. His footwork is clean. It is crisp. The length, he knows how to use it. Even just the simplest of punches, he beats guys away like a rag doll. He is a strong dude. He's a big dude with length, and he is very, very athletic. And the Browns obviously are very happy with where he is weight-wise. This is one thing the Browns were a little bit concerned with, because once you get that NFL money, you might start eating a little bit better. Maybe your habits aren't as good because you got the money in your pocket. Yeah, DoorDash at midnight. Who cares? This, that, and the other thing. But they have seen a dedicated, committed guy to this point. So as much as it is difficult to have to see Jack Conklin leave for the rest of the season, this move the Browns made, and it was a move for the future with Dawand Jones. It truly was. Nobody foresaw, obviously, the need for Dawand Jones here in 2023. And even though that Tillman was drafted before him, obviously Siaki Ika was drafted before him, Dawand Jones now becomes the focal point rookie of the 2023 campaign. And for Dawand Jones, put your head down and listen, because you are playing with some really, really established players on this line. Wyatt Teller, Joe Bitonio. Joe Bitonio had guys hand out their hand to him as he was a kid coming up through the league. Joe Bitonio has been a guy who has done it and paid it back in spades. That's the way it works. Obviously, Ethan Posick is a really good feel-good story for a guy who was a former high pick, didn't work out. And all of a sudden now we're talking about a guy who plays like a top center in the NFL, just found the right fit here with the Cleveland Browns. So that's kind of one thing. If he wants to talk with Ethan Posick can help him with. Look, this is a really good system for a player to develop as an offensive lineman. So Dawand Jones, and of course he's got Wyatt Teller on his left. Wyatt is as good as a player as he is. Wyatt is a student of the game. Wyatt is a film watcher. He is very, very committed to his craft, which really, really could pay off well for Dawand Jones. Dawand Jones, probably most of who he's going to get his reps here against in his first NFL start is going to be TJ Watt. Now, if anybody remembers, the last time the Cleveland Browns played the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football and started a rookie right tackle, it was James Hudson against TJ Watt. And TJ Watt had not one, not two, not three, not four sacks. 4 sacks, I think. Now, but the thing was, and it was still weird at the time. I don't even know what the Browns were thinking. a lot of it was James Hudson James Hudson one-on-one. So, at that point, the Browns season was pretty much lost. So was that, hey, let's see where the kid's at. iron sharpens iron. Hey, kid, go out there. You're a rook, man. Let's see where your warts are. Let's see where we can get you better. Didn't offer him much help, not much chipping, not much tight end assistance. I don't think that is going to be the plan here for the Cleveland Browns come Monday night. Obviously, you think you have a guy who might be ready to contribute right away at a pretty good level in the NFL. But you got to do this young man the disservice of saying, well, there's TJ Watt, former defensive player of the year. Go ahead, kid, you'll be fine. Makes no sense, and I don't think the Browns will do it that way. Obviously, TJ Watt, 3 sacks in his first game here against San Francisco 49ers, even though it was a big-time loss for the Steelers. Solid player. Cameron Hayward will be out for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night. Cam Hayward, it looks like it's going to be a groin surgery. They're probably talking 6 to 8 weeks. I think they said he will be headed to IR. Diontae Johnson has never been a guy that really killed the Browns. He's had some notable drops against the Cleveland Browns over the years, but Diontae Johnson is also a guy who will miss Monday Night Football. So the Browns, hey, you're going there. Right now they're labeled as a favorite. We'll see if that line stays true. But look, do what you did last week. Come in, play team football, be committed, be focused. And there aren't many teams in the NFL that the Browns can't beat if the Browns play like a 53-man roster playing as one. And that's what you saw from this team against Cincinnati Bengals. The team was not an individual. The team was a team, and it made a tremendous difference. So obviously some roster moves, a statement from me. Final thoughts on the Bengals here as we shift over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm excited. We're going to get the extra weekend here, guys. If you owe one to maybe your wife, your significant other, because Sunday you wanted to watch the Browns, so take them out, because it's Monday night, and by that time you guys will all be nestled in and can enjoy this one. So be good to that loved one in your life on Sunday. So we got into a lot here. I appreciate you all following along. It's been a busy week here. The traffic has been amazing. I am so thrilled. I am so happy you guys are all coming here and enjoying everything we're putting out. Obviously now my 7th season here hosting Locked On Browns with you all. It's been a fantastic ride. I'm so excited for where this team is after Monday, where this team is headed in a Monday night. Make sure you're following at Jeff_LJ Lloyd. Locked On Browns is available wherever you get your podcast. It's always free, of course. To the everyday listening crowd, keep that number going up. Invite your friends. If they're not subscribed, subscribe for them to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. It's everybody that makes me your first listen every single day. You guys are just phenomenal. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go, Browns.